agreeing in that, like, if men can, like, that paperwork could be available socially, then it has, like, a precondition should be that it's a very easy, like, almost as easy as getting candy from a store to get an abortion. And if that's the case, we're not really having a disagreement, right? The stuff about whether it's weighted or not might not have any bearing. The point that's going to be, like, it's going to turn on it is, like, given that, like, and I think you might just be wrong about how easy it is to get an abortion in the United States, because it's just not. Like, that's factually not true. And there's all sorts of, like, empirical evidence one could look up to, like, see what goes into the abortion process. Even if it's like early on, like after 2 weeks, it's, like, incredibly hard to get it, especially in, like, the southern states of the United States. But with those, like, limitations in mind, if we want to, like, say that like, men can just, or, like, fathers in general, can opt out of being a parent, but it just makes sense that, well, the whole parenting endeavor should be, like, equally easy as signing a paper to, like, to terminate. And it seems like we're agreeing on that.
I agree.
Okay. Okay.
Can I just say, guys, right?
Step one, make abortion super easy. There's someone who's on the docket to go forward. Hopefully Haiti's back so she can verify that she's British.
Can I chime in now, guys?
Yeah.
Because I think there's a history lesson that kind of needs to put this thing into context. So, abortion was made legal in 1973, right, in America, and the chain of abortion clinics, Planned Parenthood, was championed by a woman named Margaret Sanger. And Margaret Sanger was a known racist and eugenicist. And she wanted to be able to kill black people before they were even born. She spoke to the KKK. She wrote in her own writings that she wanted to get rid of quote unquote defective stocks. And since 1973, more black children have been aborted more so than heart disease, cancer, violent crime, HIV, and AIDS combined. So for me as a black person, when it comes to the conversation of abortion, I look at it from a different place. And so if I understand that abortion essentially was a eugenics movement, I don't condone abortion, and except within cases of, let's say, child molestation or rape. And I think a lot of this history is actually looked over, and I think a lot of this history isn't spoken about. And so currently we have, in the Western world, we have at least 15 types of contraception. In my personal point of view, abortion should not be used as contraception. There are many ways in which to not get pregnant. And I think people in these days and times are using abortion as contraception. And I don't agree with it. And people always talk about, my body, my choice. But it was actually, as a woman, your body and your choice to have sex. Unless it's a case of molestation or rape, a man cannot have sex with you. So as a woman, it is upon you to be head of security for your own vagina, essentially. And if you are letting men inside you that are going to be reckless with having sex with you, then it's on you. However, before that happens, you had the chance to take contraception. You had the chance to use a condom. There are various forms of contraception that you could have taken. So to answer the question, is abortion morally permissible? I think abortion is an immoral act. I think a child growing in a womb has every right to exist. And for you now to play quote unquote God, I'm not a religious person, by the way, but for you to play God and decide to kill that child is morally wrong in my personal point of view. There are places in America right now where they are advocating for children to be quote unquote aborted at 9 months old, which is basically the murder of a fully grown human being. Okay, and there are people that are actually advocating for this, and there are people that are actually okay with this. And I just think when we as human beings think that we can kill another life, we are quote unquote playing God. And I think it's a slippery slope that we are now going down.
Does anyone mind if I respond to this real quick? I don't want to, like, if someone has, like, something to say, I don't want to, like, overtalk them.
You go for it. I'll go and say if no one else says about you.
Okay. There seems to be, like, a lot of things wrong with this. Like, for example, well, let's start with the first point. The first point about, like, eugenicists, right? Like, that's historically correct. But what that is like a genetic fallacy, right? Take, for example, one of the first groups of people to, like, ban smoking for health reasons were the Nazis, right? Now, I don't think it follows just because, like, the Nazis came up with it that the plan should be, bad, right? One might say abortion could be used to decimate the black population, etc. But, like, it seems that you're going to have to go further. And that's what you did. You went further. You went to say something along with the morality, right? Which is irrelevant, which is not irrelevant, but independent of the genetic or the historical facts, right? Because even if that eugenicist didn't exist, you would still have a problem with abortion. So it doesn't seem like it plays much of a point in, like, the debate. So I think we can kind of ignore that part.
I think,
and the part,
to respond to that, okay. I think the reason why is because black women, when it comes to abortion, are overrepresented per capita when it comes to abortion. So sometimes black women are aborting their children at 3 times higher than the rate of any other people's, even though they represent such a minuscule or minute amount of the population. So it means that the plan of Margaret Sanger is coming to fruition. Her plan was to, kill black babies, and black women are aborting their children at a much higher rate in certain parts of the world.
One little interruption there, if you don't mind. It's just clearly her plan isn't working because there's a lot more black people now than there were before. So clearly her plan isn't working very well. So even if black people are overrepresented in abortions, it doesn't seem like it's going to particularly matter given that the black population is pretty much rising in tandem with everybody else.
Right, but my point is that the reason why her plan is coming to fruition is because, while there may be more black people on the earth than there were, I guess, when Margaret Sanger was around, they are still being aborted at a much higher rate, which means, to some degree, what she wanted to happen is actually happening. And
that's incorrect.
So what do you mean it's incorrect?
Well, to be if as eugenicist who wants to, like, call the black population, if the black population is still growing in tandem with every other, like, racial group, and by the way, I don't really hold to, like, racial groups, but for the sake of argument, let's consider them real. As, like, black people as, like, a racial group, they're growing at the same rate pretty much as everybody else.
In the Western world,
her plan should be, in the Western world. That's the one where I have the data points on. Maybe in, like, the black people in, like, let's say Indonesia are going down, or in China. I don't know that data, but, like, in the United States, in Europe, black people are not decreasing, like, per capita.
No, black people are not decreasing per capita, but like I said, the overrepresentation of abortion when it comes to the black populace is definitely real. And so
I'll agree. I'll grant that for the sake of argument, but, like, to say that a eugenics program is succeeding is to mean that the amount of black people, either per capita or overall, is decreasing, and neither of which is true.
Can
I add something?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. So that woman, whatever her name is, Margaret Sanger, is not responsible for people's unprotected sex. And I noticed that you talked about the woman being wholly responsible for who she puts into her vagina. But you know what? It's a 50-50. It takes 2 people to make a baby. Why should women have to take all the onus?
Because
Because
that's also a good point.
I'll tell you because women are smart enough in these days and times to understand that a man, though I do not condone it, can 100% walk away from a woman and her child. Okay, it's happened a million times. We've all seen it, right? Mm-hmm. So 9 times out of 10, a woman will get the short end of the stick. Okay, so women have to be more careful, knowing they could get the short end. Women have to go through, a lot of women have to go through, pregnancies, their body changes. Sometimes depression comes after having a baby. Women get the short end of the stick with pregnancy anyway, even if the man is actually there, right? So if the man isn't there, the short end of the stick, I say increases, but it's the short end of the stick. But the things that a woman can go through after pregnancy with no man there, they double, they triple. And so women should definitely be more careful now as to who they let in, because the bottom line is you could be left with the shitty end of the stick. A man can actually willingly, though I don't condone it, I'll say again, can willingly walk away from a child and live his life carefree. Okay, a woman generally cannot. And so if the onus is going to be upon the woman, okay, she needs to be more careful as to who she lets inside her.
But you're colluding with that by being part of the problem. Do you see what I mean? It's like...
What do you mean?
Women don't get pregnant on their own, so this is the thing. I hear what you're saying about the responsibility thing, and that's your take on it, and I get it. But it's almost like... I don't like the way that women should be held wholly responsible for overseeing contraception, because we are, as women, we have to put drugs into our body which cause horrible side effects and mood swings and this and that. But men don't want to have a vasectomy, no, because they want to carry on breeding, but they want to wear a condom because they want to go bareback, and it's a bit of give and take. So maybe, and also in reference to your point about the black community, you actually... I will say within the Asian community, this is very heavy on the abortion side, but nobody talks about that.
I would say there is, there are some double standards in this world that a lot of people don't like, but they are what they are, right? And so one of the double standards that we have is that, women have to burden the child and a man can walk away. And I know a lot of women do not like it. And I don't, I'm not saying men should walk away from their children, but I'm saying it happens. And that's just the way the world is. What are we going to do? We can't force men to have vasectomies.
Well, maybe that should change.
But no, you want to force men to have vasectomies?
Well, yeah, because you're forcing women to put drugs into their bodies that potentially kill them of a stroke or an aneurysm or whatever. Yeah.
No one is forcing women to do that. I don't know where in the Western world women are being forced to do that.
Okay.
Hi.